gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God, and He on my side. That's the confidence I got, 'cause He got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. Oh, that's all you got.
Welcome to this week's episode of
Hey, I think we're good here.
I'm one of your co-hosts, Jackson Metakekia.
And I'm Matt West, and we're here getting to know the sport of volleyball through the life experiences our guests have to share with us. Come take a listen. Today's guest is all-time great Trojan, Micah Christenson. Mike is the current national team captain, three-time All-American, World Cup, World League, and Italian Superliga champion, an Olympic bronze medalist, two-time Gatorade Player of the Year as a basketball player, and the self-proclaimed Hawaiian Dirk Nowitzki. Here's his story.
Don't cease to amaze me, and it drive me crazy. Did you catch every detail that I missed in the songs I'm making? Saying you will never write a verse like Kendrick, never be the rapper.
Well, Micah, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate having you.
No problem. Love to be here, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course, man. Well, I guess let's get it started. What was the reason you first started playing volleyball? Because you grew up in a basketball family. Both your parents are basketball players, yeah?
My dad is a basketball player. My mom's a volleyball player.
Okay.
So, I kind of always around it with my mom playing volleyball. I got it wrong on my a different thing that I interviewed that I did. She's actually a 3-time national champ.
Oh, at Kamehameha?
So I said 2-time. No, at Hilo, University of Hawaii at Hilo.
Oh,
This is
damn.
before like NAIA, but I don't know what the division was. But she won 2 in 1 year apparently. So I don't know what that is, but she won it. So
Is that where Jalen's dad coached?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So Tino Reyes was there for a little while, and then I don't think he's still there. But yeah, my mom played volleyball, my dad played basketball, and I was always kind of primarily a basketball guy growing up, I guess. Like, it was my main sport, first love of sport. And then volleyball came around, I think, when I was around 13, and I started to play for the middle school team, and I started to play club and got a little more serious, and then volleyball, obviously it's a pretty popular sport in Hawaii. It's got a big following. I know the University of Hawaii has a big following, both men and women. So it was encouraging also to play volleyball. It wasn't like looked down upon.
Yeah.
So that was something that was cool.
That's so nice.
And that's unique to Hawaii, because I know a lot of places it's not like that.
Yeah, it's a girls' sport a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean, it still kind of is in Hawaii, but it's just less than, let's say, like in the Midwest.
For
But
sure.
we still get, when we're the USA teams just traveling, it's like, there's a men's volleyball exists in the world. I'm like, yeah, it's all right.
It's like we go to the
I expect you to
Olympics,
know.
we have like a world championships. Pretty big deal.
It's a pretty big deal to the rest of the world, but I mean, middle of America doesn't really know about it, and I don't blame them. We got a ton of like big mainstream sports, but it's cool once they get the exposure. It seems like everybody kind of catches the bug, and they get bit by it, and they start loving it.
Dude, so we had Micah Ma on the other day, and he's telling us about playing at A6 Rainbow back in the day when I think you were on the team. Yeah, it's like your 13th year. And I said, yeah, that's the first year I met Micah at High Performance in Tucson. And Micah and I are talking, and Micah kind of gets this look in his eye. And I was like, I feel like this kid's going to punch somebody. And then all of a sudden, Micah punches me square in the shoulder. And I was like, Micah, what's the deal, man? Why are you punching me? And he goes, you're the Seattle kid? You're the kid that was supposed to be on my team at A6 Rainbow. We could have won if you were on my team. And you socked me in the shoulder. And I was like, man, this guy, I just met this guy like 2 hours ago on a shuttle. And he already punched me in the shoulder.
Hey, it was love at first sight. Punch in the shoulder. We knew. Dude, my memory of that trip was we were walking, so like middle of the desert, like we're in Tucson, Arizona, and we were at a hotel, and the convention center, the gym or whatever we were playing at, it was about a 15-20 minute walk.
Yeah.
And
Every
of course,
day.
like middle of the desert, over 100 degrees. They're like, let's get a bunch of hundreds of kids just walking there instead of getting some buses. And so we were walking there first day, and I just like happened to walk next to you, and we just got to talking. I was like, oh, position do you play? Center. Oh, position do you play? Center. Oh, sick. All right, cool. And then we end up on like the top court together. I'm like, oh, okay. This
There
just
we go.
happened to be destiny.
Yeah, this is.
And we were like running 6'2". We were like running the 6'2", and just dominating people. And we were like, this is it.
This
We
is it,
found it. We
dude.
found
We're
the
gonna
game of
do this
volleyball.
the rest of our careers.
Yeah,
It was,
6'2".
dude. It was so sick. So like the first ball I set, because we just run X's and stuff, because we were just messing around.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like we were, like it was. It's not like we weren't by far the best kids or anything, but like we were the best setters and like we could do everything. So we're like, let's just enjoy this, man. We've already figured it out day one, so let's enjoy it. So I set Micah at X2, and Micah comes around and he buries it with his left hand, buries this ball, and the whole gym just goes silent. And I was like, I know I'm supposed to compete with this kid, but that was the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. That was so sick.
Dude, that was the back in the day when I was like running lefty slides, like reverse slides into the court rather than to the pin.
Oh, so much
Oh,
fun,
that was
man.
when we could be creative with volleyball. Now it's just boring. But dude, I just remember you were just like jumping way higher than like almost everybody at the place. I don't know if Jeremy Dana was there, but if Jeremy Dana was there, you probably weren't jumping higher than that guy. But everyone else, you were jumping, and they were like, "That guy's a setter," and I was just setting you X2s, and I remember we would just basically set each other the whole time, and it was
the whole day.
It was a monopoly of volleyball in that day. But hey, do what you got to do to win.
So then, what was, because so we grow up, and then obviously we're on the top court at like A1 Select and stuff, and then the next year we go to Guadalajara, and we have to play this guy who's your arch nemesis to this day, Wilfredo Leon.
Oh, dude, that guy was out of our league. But continue. You continue.
Right? Okay, so that guy's nuts, right? And then you go to Worlds in Italy with the youth team.
Yep.
Right, and that's like your first.
That time was the youth team.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like, because you played up and then played on youth team with like Krabby and Sander and Josh Taylor and Maurice and all those guys.
Yes.
How was that first exposure to international volleyball?
Oh, it was crazy. It was just like it wasn't as serious as it should have been. Which.
Well, yeah, dude, we were playing. What's it called? Tunnel tag on like the bench. It's like anytime you had like a 30-second timeout, we go play tunnel tag on the back and then come back for the timeout.
Yeah, it was like, so obviously, like we talked about earlier, like America volleyball, let alone men's volleyball, isn't this massive sport that people take super serious, that you got like these crazy camps and tons of money pumped into. So there's not that response as a youth player to when you go to like these international tournaments, when there's like the Russians and the Italians and the Polish, and they're like, that's not how you do this. Like, this is international volleyball. Like, this is big time. And we're just super naive to the fact that this was bigger than we thought. So that was almost to our advantage as well. We just kind of really lived in the moment, enjoyed it, but didn't really recognize, I guess, the impact and the whole scenario of the international volleyball. So I think that was a cool introduction, like you said, Matt, like to just be introduced to international volleyball with your boys that you're just like having fun with, and with the USA team too. And I think to our fault, we trained for like a week or a week and a half. And then we go and try to play against these guys that have like feeder programs that start when they're 14 and they've been training together forever.
Yeah. Sure.
And we just try to pull it together with a coach we've never heard from. I remember JT Winger was our coach, and he was like, jump high and hit hard. Like, just go do your thing, guys. We're like, all right.
Sick.
Thanks, coach. Yeah,
street ball.
That's what it kind of was. It's just like, let's figure out how one guy plays, and if you got like these super studs like Taylor Sander, and at that time it was Josh and Maurice and Taylor Crabb, and it's like I was able to be surrounded by like super talented dudes. So luckily we didn't really have to have a ton of chemistry. It was just like just go kill the ball.
Do you feel like that? Not that like you're not still naive, like you've played in 2 world championships and Olympics now, but do you still feel that like childish sense of joy when you go out maybe even at practice and matches when you go out and play volleyball? Like it's still that thought of like, this is just so much fun.
Yeah, totally. And like I think that a lot of it too is the joyfulness of getting to compete every day.
Yeah.
And be creative and try new things and being comfortable enough to be able to do that and still have like this competitive edge. Because I think for me, it's always like the game is so beautiful, and I think it's beautiful because it's so hard. And it's like such an impossible game to be good at and to be perfect at. So when you're competing and when you lose the element of competition and like the joy of competition, then things just get terrible and they get boring and they get monotonous. So
sure.
to be able to like compete at a high level and enjoy the game and have that like almost respect for the game, to know that you have to literally try your hardest in order to survive is cool. But just having the joy, I mean, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I think volleyball, the culture of volleyball players
So
is a
cool.
very playful one.
Yes. 100%.
Like, yeah,
especially
like
the men's
everybody's
volleyball side.
professional. Totally. And I think that's almost the nature of like it not being as serious as a lot of these other sports. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys feel the same way, but I think that's my point of view on it.
I feel the exact same way. I'm an assistant coach, and me and my head coach and the other assistant are just like talking smack to each other all day, and it's fun. And I don't know if you get that in like a basketball office, or maybe you do, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah, like
I just love it. It's a small community.
Yeah, and like, man, I remember like what was it? The last time I saw you is I think you were walking down to 6-man and I was walking up to 6-man, or walking up from 6-man, and you're like, did you play or party? And I was like, I did one, and I just walked by, and it's just like one of these senses of camaraderie where it's like, I haven't seen this guy in so long, but I was like, I love that guy. And you probably I saw like 15 people on the way up from one event where I was like, I haven't seen that guy in X amount of years. I played against that guy. I really like that guy, blah, 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 blah. But like every guy you see in the volleyball world, especially the men's, in my opinion, is like, even if you hated him at one point, for some reason you still feel like you could reach out to him for something.
Totally agree. I think you feel that small town community. I think you feel, and there's almost this bond. It's like a fraternity.
Yes.
Especially if you've played college volleyball, but not even like if just in men's volleyball in general, that I think it's almost a fraternity that you can relate to such an interesting, like we all can say we've had this experience of like, oh, men's volleyball exists. Like,
yeah.
You guys play that sport that's for girls. And I think that's like a relationship builder and something that we all can kind of relate to. So it's a cool little bond that a lot of us have. And it's not, I wouldn't even call it a chip on your shoulder, but it's just, we're so secure in kind of who we are. And we're just like, we love this game. Trust me, you'll love it too when you start it and when you start watching it and trying it. So come join us, rather than like having this weird chip on your shoulders, like, no, we don't play a girl sport. We're men, blah, blah, blah. We're like, come join us, man. Come play with us. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but knowing you, dude, you're probably like, come join us. So like, I'll kick the shit out of you. And then you'll see like how much you really like the sport now, you know?
Yeah, like call it a girl sport again. Bam, in your face. Dude, I made one of my best friends cry in after school PE because we were playing a massive volleyball game. And I just decided to hit one hard one time. And there's probably 50 kids on the court each side. And it was like one of my best friends, and I just unloaded on him just square in the face, and he was like tearing up. I was like, at the time, everyone was like, "Ooh," and I just felt so bad. But it was funny. We laugh about it, but I still feel bad. You don't know volleyball until you're there in
until
it.
until you have Baden on your forehead.
In the face, yeah.
So when for you, because okay, just for the record, Micah was a good basketball player, is what people probably think. He was an extraordinary basketball player.
Well, 2 state champs, right?
Yeah, and you were Gatorade Player of the
Two-time
Year in
state champ.
Hawaii.
Twice.
Yeah,
we gotta like.
Okay.
I have to kind of rep it now because I haven't touched basketball in a long time.
Yeah. So and when you Micah's ambidextrous. So if you play Micah and horse now, and he's like, oh, I feel like challenging myself, he'll just play you lefty. He pulls the Larry Bird. Okay. So Micah's not just. Yeah. All right. That's a nice comparison
Larry,
for you. You're welcome.
Love that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So at what point in time, because you go through all these things and you play through your senior year, knowing that you're for sure going to go to SC and you have money to go to SC and you're going to do all these things at SC, at what point in time prior to that did you decide, like, I think volleyball is going to be the best avenue? And, like, was it a sit-down conversation where, like, Bob sat you down and was like, look, Micah, I'm a basketball player. I love basketball, but I really think this is the best for you? Or was your mom like, I think this is the best for you? How did it go down in your family?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I was super fortunate to have just like supportive parents on whatever. They would let me make my decision and kind of live with it. And they would definitely like offer their own opinions and I guess words of wisdom, but there was never like, this is what you're going to do. It was more like, maybe you should consider this, maybe you should consider that, and just more put all the options on the table for me and then allow me to make my own decision and live with the consequences. But for me, I guess playing my experiences on the youth and junior national team and kind of in that USA pipeline and some of the successes I was able to have, I was able to see the opportunity to possibly succeed in volleyball further than I could see the success or the potential success in basketball. I was getting the opportunity to be recruited by some of the top team or some of the top schools in the country in regards to volleyball. If there were like Duke and North Carolina scholarships to basketball, there would definitely be a reconsideration. But and then I was able to kind of see, like, I saw the 2008 team. I was like, I want to do that. I want to be those guys and win that gold medal. And so having the experience on the USA, in the USA pipeline, helped me to visualize that actually coming true. So that helped me make my decision to play volleyball in college. But also, it wasn't going to make me stop playing like high school basketball or like club basketball all the way until there, because I loved it too much. I almost felt a responsibility to my school and my friends and all that stuff too to play.
So after you make that decision to go with volleyball, what makes you choose SC?
Well, Matt committed to Pepperdine.
Micah really wanted to go to Pepperdine, just for the record.
Well, that was definitely one of my top schools. It definitely fit a lot of my my values. Being a Christian school, being obviously very good at volleyball, and being in Southern California, all like an incredible school. And a lot of the buddies went there, right?
Yeah.
So that was definitely one of my tops. And I was like, okay, cross that one out. Can't go there anymore. And so basically what I had with a conversation with my parents was like, okay, like you can go to school for college, but like we can't, it's not, you're going to have to get a scholarship. Like you can't just go to any other school. Like we can't just afford it, or you're going to have to take this crazy student loan out. So that narrowed it down a bit too. I was like, okay, can't go there, can't go there, can't go there. So it was between USC and Santa Barbara. And I took my visits, I did all that. And then it came down to what I felt was that USC was going to give me the best opportunity if I had never played volleyball again. If I had a career-ending injury, concussion now, that's a whole thing of like, would a degree come from USC? Would that propel me in the direction to have a successful career if I never had volleyball again? So that was a big part in the decision making, was the academic side of it.
That's funny because you guys ended up playing Santa Barbara in the Final Four. What was that, 2011
That wasn't
or 12?
me.
No, that was the year before, yeah.
That was a year before me, but that's hilarious because that was part of my decision. I mean, that was kind of during the decision making time.
Okay.
And Santa Barbara beat SC, upset SC. That was like the all-star team of USC too.
Man, the greatest team that never was, I think.
They blew it, man.
My head coach.
I think they'll tell you that. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, my head coach is Lee Nelson. He was the assistant at Santa Barbara at the time. And he was like, man, we even beat them, and we still didn't get Micah.
I remember Lee. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think I bet you my decision was probably already made. But
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, there was also Oliver Deutschman was
dude, he was
at
Santa
Barbara.
Stud, man.
Well, he was on the junior team.
Yeah.
He was on that youth team with me.
He was huge in the pipe. Him and Chen Lei were the guys before Micah and I showed up.
Chen
Lei.
He was our year.
Yeah,
though.
he's our year, but he always played up with Ollie and those guys.
Yeah, dude, he was our year. I remember hearing about that guy. I was like, take that guy out. Not physically, but like competitively. And shout out to Chen Lei. I don't know how he's doing, but shout out to that guy, man.
Yeah, dude, he was a baller back in the day. What?
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. It's a question I've always had for you. Now I'm lucky enough to get you on a podcast to ask it. Who lit the fire under your ass to make you as competitive as you are? Because in anything that I've ever done with you, anything, it could be like a cannonball, laps in a pool, who can serve the hardest, who can serve the nicest, cleanest float. You have to win. You have to. And you'll talk as much shit.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you'll talk as much shit as it possibly takes to break the other guy. You'll do anything, hopefully besides hurt him. And I never thought.
No, I'm not gonna hurt anyone. Dude, come on.
But like I remember talking to you. I don't remember when. I think it was when that like 30 for 30 came out about the bad boys, and it was the first time I like knew who Isaiah Thomas really was. And the only guy that ever brought up Isaiah Thomas maybe being the greatest player to ever play was Micah Christenson. And it all the stars aligned.
I never said that.
Yeah, he was like, I love Isaiah Thomas. He thought Isaiah Thomas was so
Larry
sick.
Bird, dude. Larry Bird was the guy.
But those are two guys that are very comparable. Yeah, those are comparable to like the way, not necessarily the way you think, but like they talk, they compete, and they play so hard. And I think you hit all those criteria. What started it? Like what put more, and what is putting wood on that fire still?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a big part of my upbringing. I think my dad challenged me quite a bit in like very healthy ways.
Yeah.
Of like always trying to get me to do a little bit more. Like, oh, nice shot, you made that one. I bet you can't make that one a little further. And then it was just like a little bit, little by little. And I think it's just it's always been in my nature. I don't know. I think it's a good question of like who planted that seed or who continues to stoke it. But I think now it's just become kind of a tool for me of like something that pushes me, something that I take a lot of pride in, I think.
Yeah.
I've always been super competitive, and I need to I've learned to compartmentalize that a little bit.
Okay.
In my marriage and in my like home life. It's not, you don't have to win at everything. But when it comes to things that there's no real, I'm not hurting anybody by going, I'm going to go. And I just think I don't do myself or my teammates or even just whatever I'm doing. I don't feel like I'm doing it justice if I'm not doing it to win. And I'm not doing it to the best of my ability. Even if the guy's better than me, like I won't. It's not that I won't admit it, but I will never.
You're not gonna back down.
Feel like you can beat me.
Yeah.
Like I'll always feel like I can find a way to win. And that's always been like, even some, to a fault in certain scenarios. But for the most part in my athletic career, I've always felt that I had a fighting chance and my team has a fighting chance. If I'm able to go out there and continue to play. So I think that's a good question, Matt, of like where that started. Maybe a better person to ask it would be my parents, because they probably remember that stuff more than me. But for me, it's, in my experience, it's always been kind of part of me.
I think that's
so. Just
fair answer.
super random question. We could edit this back, Matt. But what NBA player in today's game did you play like when you played?
Oh, dude. Well, okay. He doesn't play. He just retired. But I'm gonna go with Big Dirk.
Let's go.
Big Dirk's my guy. He's my favorite player. He was my favorite player growing up, like an active player, because for me, I was always taller than most people in Hawaii. It's a lot of shorter players for the most part. So I would be the guy. I'd be like a 2 guard on offense, if not the point guard, and then I'd like be guarding the center on defense. So it was like a weird hybrid of positions, but I was told I was a pretty decent shooter. I could rebound the ball pretty well. I think volleyball helped me do that a good amount of like being able to time things and read things off of the rim and off the block and whatever, and be able to tip it to myself. But I would say Dirk. I would hope to say Dirk
That's a great answer.
Not the most athletic guy in the gym. Let's say Dirk in his prime. Dirk was having a hard time getting to half court.
Yeah.
In the latter part of their career, but
True.
But yeah, I wasn't a high flyer, and still am not. But we could get some fundamentals out there.
Nice.
So, to walk us through your first year at SC, because I love this. I've been a part of 2 of the like greatest streaks in my 4 years at Pepperdine. We started yours at SC when you guys won like 22 games in a row. That started against us.
Oh, no way.
When Tony Chiarelli blew up Mike McMahon like 8 times in a match.
Was that at Pep?
Yeah, that was at
the
Pep.
Fieldhouse?
Yeah,
dude, that was a legendary match. But you go.
It was a super fun. Like it was so tight, and it was one of those things where I was like, it was the first time we got to play each other, and we were both playing really well up until that point. So it was like a showdown. I was like, all right, man, like this is it. Like this is our time to show each other in college, like who's boss. And then it was like really tight in the third, and then all of a sudden Tony went back to the line and just started unloading.
Dude had like 10 aces.
Yeah, I think he had 12 aces at the end of the match.
Yeah, 12.
And I was like, who is this guy? Obviously we all know who this guy is. We're like, what is this guy doing, man? And then you guys win like how many matches in a row? Like 18 or something?
I think it was like 19 or maybe even like 20 something, like what you said. But it was an SC record.
Yeah, it was like 22 matches in a row. You guys just rattle off. And I was like, oh my God, they're doing it. So then you guys –
that was crazy.
Yeah, it was super cool to watch because you're just like, this guy's so unstoppable. And Mike is so good at setting this guy. Like, I was like, he got smart enough where he's like, I just got to set this one guy. I'll set the middles every once in a while, and I'll open it up to Tanner. But Tony's my guy. Set that guy wherever he is. Because he's like the most unathletic 0-1 I've ever seen. But his arm is incredible.
Yeah. Shoulder was insane. His hand was so crazy too. His hand control was amazing. And the funny thing about Tony is he can't bend his right wrist back past this 180 degrees. So I don't understand how he has such good. Dude, yeah, he can't. He had surgery and he can't bend it back. So he's just doing. And the dude couldn't. He wasn't as high flyer. He couldn't. So his platform. I'm gonna try to stand my phone up. His platform was. I heard he
intertwined. Yeah, he intertwined his fingers right.
Because he couldn't bend his wrist back. So he had to keep one like this.
Wow.
And And he still passed the ball pretty well at that college level, and like had just a giant booty, giant tree trunk legs he was a horse. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't much of a puzzle. It was like, set Tony. They'll figure it out.
So you guys unfortunately lose in this. Was it the semis or the finals against?
Finals.
No. I mean before that.
Oh,
before
MPSF.
that. Before you got
MPSF.
robbed.
Semis.
It's semis, yeah?
Semis.
Up 2-0, and then they came back.
Yep.
So
Irvine.
let's, before we get into the final, because I already know your
remember
thoughts
that.
on the final, dude.
But we gotta talk. I don't know what you think my thoughts are, so that'll be fun.
I know. I think I know what your thoughts are for sure.
Okay.
But what were your guys' thoughts going into the Final Four? Were you like, we got this, we're at home, dude, it's over, like they got lucky?
Hard. No, definitely not like a we got this feel. It was like we need to get them back type of feel. It felt. It was like, we're not gonna let it happen again. Super fortunate to get like the at-large bid because we won the league. We were the number one seed in the nation, I believe, coming into that. And so, but we were just like, we hope we didn't blow the opportunity to get to the Final Four. And then we got it, and we played Lewis. And we beat him, I think, 3-1. Jay Petty was their dude, Greg's older brother.
Yeah.
And then, we got to the final. And so after that semifinal match, Henry Cassett, you remember Henry?
Yeah, didn't he have
Obviously
like some hip thing going on or whatever?
Dude couldn't walk. After the game in the training room, I remember like stretching or whatever in the training room, and my guy could not walk, like literally couldn't take a step. And I was like, Henry, like, bro, suck it up. We have a national championship coming up. It was either the next day or 2 days later. I was like, Henry, you got to go, man. Take some drugs. And he was like, I can't take a step. I can't walk. And what ended up happening was his bones, both hip sockets, were grinding on each other. On like the head of his leg bones was grinding on the hip sockets, both of them. And he had to have surgery to like immediately to get that sorted out and grind the bones off so he wasn't just taken out more and more. So we had to start our second libero, and Henry at the time was an All-American.
Yeah, he was balling that year.
And so that was a tough position for our second libero to come in, and he wasn't like a big volleyball. He's a football player, and so he got put into a tough situation. But we had an opportunity. We lost it. It was a bummer. Still sucks.
So before,
apparently there were a couple too many scholarships on that Irvine.
There it is.
Yeah, I heard it here first.
I was gonna say, because you were like, I want to hear your thoughts on what I think. Here are
Is
my
that what it
thoughts.
was?
I was like, Micah's for sure. I told Jackson, I was like, Micah thinks he got robbed. Kevin Tilley shouldn't have played. Kevin Tilley robbed him, and he shouldn't have played.
I tell Kevin about that.
I knew it, dude. I knew it.
The dude, he was like, honest mistake, man. We didn't know. Like, okay, honestly, give my championship to me.
Yeah.
No, but it's whatever. I mean, it honestly wasn't. Kevin carried them to the championship to that game, and then our whole game plan was to stop Kevin because he was just dominating.
And then Connor Hughes just went off.
Connor Hughes and Carson.
Yeah, Carson
Clark
really well.
was sleeping all year, and then all of a sudden has a game, and Connor Hughes. And so, I mean, we did our game plan job to stop Kevin, but then that ends up being the thing that gets us, and so be it. But yeah, it was a bummer, but we go. Life goes on. Fuel the fire.
Did you think at that moment, like obviously you have time to reflect after for a little bit, did you think that was going to be your only chance at a ring in your 4 years?
So let me put this into perspective. At the time, no chance. Now, looking back on it,
You're like,
totally.
I can't believe we got there once. Yeah.
No, like yeah, no, like the years after, like without Tony, was I was like, yeah, I get it. Like if I had to predict now,
Yeah.
without
How
knowing how it was gonna go, I'm not surprised.
how hard I saw this um question posed to you, or I don't it wasn't posed like this, but I heard you speaking about it. How hard was your sophomore year coming off of almost winning a national championship to you guys didn't make playoffs that year, yeah?
I'll do either 6 and 18.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
kind of like mentally, how exhausting was it? Did you ever feel like you were like a failure? Did you ever feel like I'm just like what's going through your mind that whole season? 'Cause it's got to be just tidal waves.
totally. It was exhausting is a super good word.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like I was giving so much and trying to like give so much and like holding these higher expectations, obviously, because we just came off of a national championship and we didn't have Tony, but we had some guns
Yeah.
and it just wasn't working. And it was super exhausting, but it never was like, it was discouraging, but it never felt like, oh man, like let's just turn it in. Like I remember it could have been against you guys. After you guys, we played somebody in our rec center.
No, that was us. And you guys balled. You played really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys played
And
really
I
well. You
remember
beat
who
us in
was the guy on
4.
your team? Who was the guy? I think that could have been a different year though, Matt, because I don't think we won
No, you
that
beat
game.
us. You beat
The
us your
story that I'm
sophomore year
talking
for
about.
sure because Kyle snapped his ankle, and then we went to you guys. And I think it was
Oh man.
probably Bo Daniels, or not Bo Daniels, Bo Vandeweghe.
Yup.
Yeah, and you guys were just crushing him.
No, he pissed me off.
Yeah,
And I remember like telling my coaches, I'm like, I'm going after this guy.
yeah,
And I got him subbed out pretty quick.
so fast.
And but yeah, and like, sorry, like my bad, dude. But like he made me mad.
No, it's okay,
And so
man.
I just hit him with it. My bad, Bo.
Jackson and I have talked about this before. When like there are certain like I don't know how you are, but I'm the type of guy where like I can't play mad for a whole match in general. Like it's just not who I am. I can play mad for moments. Like if a guy says something and it hits me wrong and I'm like, you just hit my ego and my persona, it's over. I'm gonna kill you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming back with it. Are you the type of guy? I know that you're like that for sure. But like if you got a bone to pick with a guy before you even walk into a match, do you take it the whole match or eventually do you like shut it off?
It depends. Like I don't really have bones to pick. Like if I genuinely don't like a guy for a long time, like I'll take that the whole match. And because I just like don't like you, period.
Yeah.
Like it's not because you said something to me. It's like because you've done things. Your body of work shows that I just don't like you.
Well, that makes sense to me.
But for like most of the time, it's moments of a guy. Like, oh, I don't even know. I don't remember what he did. Man. I think he was. So for me at SC, it was more of don't try to pick on my teammates.
Yeah.
If you're gonna come after one of us, come after me.
Yeah, it's a respect
And I just
thing.
felt that as like a big, yeah, I just felt like that was like a sign of a big like weak, like don't be weak and like pick on a weak dude, like come to me. And so that really pissed me off. But I don't think he did that. I think he was just like feeling himself a little bit. And I'm like, bro,
for sure.
take it
like
easy.
You're not that good, dude. Shut it down.
No, yeah. Well, you think that as a competitor, you're just like,
no,
okay,
I know. I'm just saying, like
I'm
in
gonna
the
show
moment.
you. I'm gonna show you who you are. Yeah, exactly. But
so that's
after
summer.
that moment.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Well, I just going back to your first question of like how not discouraging, but exhausting it was. I remember after a game in that rec center, we'd lost to a not good team. It could have been the night before we played somebody, and I was like, I was like, Ferg, we need to talk. And I was like, I need to play out as a hitter. You need to make me an outside hitter right now because it's just we got to try something. We got to do something. because this is not working. And it was always like trying to find a solution rather than like, oh man, we're not doing well. It's
For sure.
like
You have to, man. It's your
massive.
only chance to win.
Yeah, I was just like begging him, like, and I don't think he did. I played 1 or 2 games as an outside hitter, maybe 3 or 4, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, I remember you playing against UCLA as an outside, and
Yeah.
you were like, Mike is playing as an outside.
I had mono that game.
Oh my God. Yeah, you guys
Yeah, it
got
was
trampled, I remember, but I was like, this is so
Yeah.
sick that he's getting to play.
Dude, and they were like serving me, and I was like feeling myself a little bit passive, like keep it coming. I'm like, okay, of course you're gonna serve the setter that's playing.
For
And I was
sure.
like,
Absolutely.
I felt like I was holding. I wasn't like diming every ball, but I was like, it wasn't an embarrassing outing for me passing. So I was like, all right,
Dude,
I
you're
got
a 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year as an outside.
true.
So
No,
it's
they
not
didn't
like,
have Gatorade Player of the Year for volleyball. That's what sucked.
I'm sorry. It's so tough.
And I was, dude, my volleyball career, nobody knows me here in Hawaii as a volleyball player until now, like until I finished high school. But I was just smurfed by the Punahou teams that were just dominating me. Josh
True.
E.T.,
So good,
Josh
man.
6-packed me on statewide TV in the state championship game. Just like they were like the Monstars, and I was like one play, like me and Jim and Reyes, and then Josh just cross court, super sharp, bomb, got me on national. That was an embarrassing moment for me.
So then your sophomore year is when we were training at ASC for junior team, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. And then I remember we were going to practice one day, and Ben Patch, being Ben Patch, is like, I think Mike is going to talk to Sprout today. I think Mike is going to talk to Sprout today. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that shit. Like, I don't want to hear that.
I think like,
Get this guy out of here.
it's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's just classic Ben, right? And so I remember, like, because we were playing King Bear, and I was out, and Sprout came walking over, and it was actually a really cool moment for me because I was pissed as a competitor, but I was really proud as a friend. And I remember you perfectly squared up to 4 moving forward from a pass to 5, and you set it the long way back to 2, and there was nobody up. And like Ben just annihilates this ball, and Spraw nodded, and he just walked away. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to be the next national team. I was like, he's going to be the next national team setter. And it was like really cool. But at the same time, I was like, I want to be the national team setter, obviously. And then that was the conversation to get you in the door. Yeah. Was that day?
I think first off, that's really cool to hear from you, because obviously we were friends, literally friends before competitors. Like we just like bonded before we even knew that we were playing the same position. We were friends.
Yeah.
And so that's an awesome thing to hear, and I really appreciate like that support. But in regards to that, I mean, I think that could have been the conversation. I remember him talking to Ferguson and saying, hey, oh yeah, that was it. You're right. Because he called Fergie and was like, if I kind of want to look at Micah this summer, but if I do. And so Ferguson was relaying that message to me. And I was like, sick. But I didn't expect much of it. And then we got in the gym, and luckily we're training next to the national team dudes. And I remember we would sit and watch and like stretch and watch their training afterwards.
Yeah.
And so that was like a very cool way to have that trajectory and that transition there. And honestly, like I got called into the gym, but the first month or 2, I was just keeping score and checking balls. And it wasn't like John was like, yeah, let's do it. It was like, okay, maybe we can like let him be around the guys, which was all I need. It was all I could ask for. It's just an opportunity.
I think that's a super cool message for everybody that hopefully listens to this, of like, you or another guy. Like, you were just given an opportunity, and you took an opportunity. You took opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and like there's not a day where I would say like Micah doesn't work hard, like he never deserved this. For sure. What was your first opportunity aside from practice where you're like, I am taking this, I'm not letting go of the reins? Was it that North Second
dude, that gives
tournament?
me, well, that gives me like goosebumps right now because I'm thinking of, and I'll never forget it. It was, I was keeping score. I can tell you exactly what court we were on in the ASC.
Okay.
Keeping score for like the X amount of days, consecutive days of just keeping score and wiping the floor. And that particular day, there were only 2 setters, and Kyle Caldwell sprains his ankle. 3 setters, including myself. I didn't consider myself in the conversation. And Kyle Caldwell sprained his ankle. And I was like looking around. I'm like, anybody? We have any subs? and then they're like, you're in. I'm like, oh well, freezing cold. Let's go do it. And it was just, that was really all I needed to. All I wanted was an opportunity. And sometimes people only get one. I don't know if I would have only had one, but like you said, like whoever's watching this, be ready for your one opportunity. Because almost 99% of the time you're going to get at least one opportunity. Yeah. If you're lucky, you'll get another chance, but don't blow it because you might have one, and take advantage of it. And so for me, I was able to like win a ton of drills, like very much majority of the drills. And it wasn't, I wasn't coming in like being this high class setter, really pretty, this and that. But I was able to like compete and win and kind of grind my way to winning certain drills. And I'll never forget, I had like a moment of affirmation. And this could have been after my first day, could have been after my second day of like playing volleyball with the guys. And I was sitting next to Rich Lamborn stretching. And for those who don't know Rich, at the time, I didn't know him I hardly knew him. It was probably the first time I talked to him at that moment. And he was just hard-nosed, little pit bull of a dude, like cut sleeves all day, gonna tell you how he feels. And he would just blow up our volunteer refs too. So I knew not to cross Rich. And I was sitting next to him like, do you have anything, like, what can I get better at? Like, do you have any words of advice? And just what can I do better to hang with these guys and continue to like improve? He sat there and he's kind of caught off guard. He's like, "No, I think you're doing fine." And I was ready for him to hit me with, well, you got to get stronger, you little chicken legs. You got to do this and that. And I was like, that was a huge point of affirmation. And Rich will never remember that moment, but it was huge for me.
Yeah.
Because he was one of the big bad guys that, Olympic gold medalist, knows the formula to win. And that was a huge affirmation moment for me. And it was just from there, I was able to win the starting job. And then, like you said, Matt, that Norseca tournament of not only like winning it, I was able to like win the best setter and the best server, which was, I'll never win a best server thing again. Yikes. So that was a huge moment for me and kind of solidified at least another starting opportunity the next summer.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool.
I consider myself very lucky and fortunate to be given those opportunities at the timing that they were given. I will say, I don't think I'm lucky that I wasn't prepared and I just got lucky and I won the job because of luck. I think I was lucky because I got the opportunity, but I was definitely prepared.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me? I was definitely, you weren't going to catch me not prepared for that moment.
Do you, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things leading up to that moment for sure in your volleyball career and your basketball career. Is there one moment in your path leading up to Rich saying like, I think you're doing pretty good, that stands out to you more than others, where you were like, I really think I can do this?
I think possibly getting to that national championship game as a freshman, and then also getting to a semifinal, and eventually we lost. We finished 4th in the World Championships in Brazil with our USA junior team.
Yeah.
With the same guys with Sander and Crab and Maurice and Josh them. But that was, I think, by far the highest placement any USA team has done. So that was a bit of an affirmation moment too of like, oh, maybe I can do this. And what I was told, I had sat down with agents, not on purpose, but agents had come to me and were like, "You're the second best setter in this tournament." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And the first guy was the Russian Kovalev.
Kovalev. That guy's a physical specimen.
He was pretty much the same player at that time.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Which is a good player.
Yeah.
So I mean, of course, being me, like stupid, naive, competitive, I was like, not in my head. I was like, I could beat that guy. Like I think I'm better than that guy, and I'm going to show you. But even being like second in a tournament that guys are already playing professionally, I was like, well, that's a pretty cool, huge compliment. I'm going to take that and use that to believe in myself even more.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly say that's a really high compliment in regard. There are a lot of good setters in that tournament. Jovovich is there.
Jovovich was there.
I mean, that's a great generation, that 91, 92. Because you're talking guys like
players right now.
Antanasievich, Kovacevic. I mean,
that guy. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm not a fan. He's one of those guys that you were saying.
Yeah,
I hate him throughout the game. Yeah,
you just can't stand him.
I just don't like him.
Oh man, he just goes.
I don't know him as a person, but
pulls more balls across his body than anybody I've ever seen in the world.
He's an incredible player. I got a ton of respect for him as a player, but I in my experiences with him, I don't like him. But I don't know him as a person, so maybe I would like him. But that's just my take on it. But yeah, like you said, there's a big generation for sure.
Yeah, man. What's the not to bring up any like hard feelings, like it's great, obviously, that like thank God we're sorry. How I think this is, I thought it was so cool. One, your match against Italy in the semis was unbelievable in the Olympics. What was your thought? Obviously, I know that's what I'm saying.
No. It's not like you're not bringing up things that I haven't talked about. It's totally fine.
So like, what was your guys' thought? What were you thinking after the match? Because you have to play in 2 days, and you got to go win. Like, it's not like you can just sit in your own shit for like too long, or you're gonna lose a match. What are you guys thinking? How are you guys prepping, like mentally? And what are you doing where you're like, I got to get these guys ready. I got to get myself ready.
I mean, it was like pure devastation. Like, it was the most devastation I think any of us have felt. And it lasted for 2 days. Like, it didn't. And to us and to myself, I mean, I can't speak for anyone else, but for me in that time, I was like, it was gold or bust. Like, I didn't even care. I didn't even care about this bronze medal match. And it was just heart-wrenching, especially the way that we lost, too. Like, we could see it. We were right there. We could taste it.
Yeah, you could literally taste the champagne.
And then it happened, and then we were like, it was just shell-shocked and devastated. And even going into the bronze medal match, even starting the bronze medal match, we were just like, still a skeleton of ourselves, or maybe myself, of like, I'm going to play hard. I'm going to do what I can. But man, if we had the opportunity, it's
just
the what ifs.
Yeah,
totally. And then we lost that second, and we were down 2-0. And then we kind of like flipped a switch in our heads, and we were like, guys, like, when are we might never get this opportunity again. We had that conversation in the huddle.
How big was Reed in that moment?
Set. Oh, Reed is crazy. It's crazy because we all were rooting for him. Like, obviously, tough, come back from ACL, this and that. And then he's like, it's Reed against the Tukin and like two legends and good friends as well. And that was the year that I had played with Reed for like the last 3 months of the season.
Oh yeah, Maturata.
Yes. So that was like, okay, I know how to feed this guy. And he was just on fire, killing everything, killing high balls, under the block, different ways. And you just kind of saw that as a center. Like I kind of saw it. I was like, oh, this guy's on fire. Like I haven't seen this Reed in a while.
Yeah.
Because he just, his big stage. He knew what he was doing. And that was really cool to see him. I think just personally too, watching his journey, like being in the game when he tore his ACL, watching his journey to come back, being a part of it, of like he came to Chivita Nova Macerata to be partially, in my opinion, to be with me because he wanted to be vibing with the setter, the Olympic setter, the starting guy. So to see him come in and basically save that match was super, super cool to like put the icing on the cake of his indoor career.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And man, like I'm so happy that we flipped our minds a little bit, because if I had sulked and continued to sulk about it and lost that third place match, like fourth place is like the worst place ever.
You're just that close to a podium.
You're like, you don't have anything to show for it, but you were one of the best teams in the world, like, so to be able to say that we medaled at the Olympics was such an incredible experience. And I'm very proud. And I was young and naive and just like gold or nothing. But when you put it in perspective, it is still such an incredible feat, especially when we made the decision of like, we gotta do this.
Yeah.
We gotta win this thing.
What are the differences? Now we're a year away from the next Olympics. What's the differences between this year before the Olympics versus 2015?
Oh my gosh, everything. Everything's different. Haven't seen my teammates, only Zoom calls. This time in 2015, we were training to qualify for the Olympics. We weren't qualified yet. Yeah. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry.
No, I thought you guys qualified at World Cup. Yeah.
World Cup. I'm sorry. I'm thinking this is the summer before the Olympics. This is the summer of the Olympics. Well, I guess this qualifies as the summer before the Olympics now.
Yeah, it does now.
So here's a better way of framing it, dude. Say COVID had never happened, what are you thinking during your pro season of like, we're going to Olympics, I'm hanging out with Maddie, I'm hanging out with Max, we're getting ready to compete, and then like, what's your framework going into this Olympics before COVID even happens? Because I think that's the best. I don't know if that's what you're trying more to ask Jackie.
I mean,
I'll go for it.
Yeah, it's a good question of like, I just felt like we have a core, we have like the dudes, and almost all of us were on that 2016 starting team. So we just have 4 more years of maturity, 4 more years of experience, and just playing together and grooving together. So I just thought we were ready for any situation. We're more prepared for any situation that was thrown in front of us because we had just bonded. We've been through the fire together, and we're also older. We know how to be pros a little more, so that was a big deal. And I still think we have that. I think it almost could be a advantage for us. We have an advantage because we played for so long together. We know our starting lineup, and a lot of other teams, unfortunately are adding some of the best players in the world. So, but they don't have the chemistry. They haven't played together for a long time, and they don't know each other on a personal level, maybe as well as we do. I could be wrong, but I do think we have an advantage, and we do have like this American grit of like, doesn't matter what you put in front of us, we're gonna find a way. We'll go compete right now if we need to, and we'll go win that gold medal. Is that what you meant, Jackson?
Yeah, and
Is that kind of,
the time period wasn't necessarily what I was getting at. I was just thinking like the maturity you were talking about, and
yeah.
I assumed that's what it was because you guys are so much more seasoned now, not just as a volleyball player, but as a person, as a professional. But yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, I think that's a huge advantage. I personally feel like a completely different player mentally. And I think that's super important as a setter. So I think all of us do. I think a lot of our players have taken like big dog roles on their professional teams, and now to just be able to combine all of that stuff is a fun little equation to try to solve.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. So you're clearly, I'm sure you feel like you're the best version of yourself as an athlete right now. So when you practice now, or let's say you were practicing right now, what are some of the things you're working on personally?
Well, I think there's differences of like technical and like mental side of the game. So right now, mentally, I just am trying to balance like the hypercritical from the competitive, and just finding the balance of when to be extremely critical of myself, which I am, and I'm trying to combat that with like, stop thinking, just go compete, and finding the times of when to do that. And I think I've gotten a lot better at that. I think I struggled a lot at USC, and even in my initial years in the national team, of just being a little too hypercritical and thinking that there's so much to do and I need to like focus on this and this and this and this
Sure.
in order to do well, rather than competing and doing kind of what I may do best, and not hindering that competitiveness. And then technically, I think technically right now I'm working on a little spinny, a little open up spinny guy to the back set on the long way stuff. So it's more fluid, and I can hold like my setting position a little better.
Sure.
There's so much stuff, man.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. There's so much stuff that goes through my mind of just like having to work on stuff. But I think that's it though. It's always striving to get better and always never being satisfied. I think it's really easy to some days just be like, oh, I don't feel like trying to get better at all. Like I'm feeling good. The team's doing well, especially when everything's going well.
Yeah, for sure.
That you're just like, yeah, like we're good. I don't need to think too much, but I think the team's doing well because back when the team wasn't doing well, you were working really hard. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
How did you? This is like I don't know how you did it. It's remarkable when really young athletes have a lot of success and then still maintain like a good head on their shoulders. And how did you maintain like the confidence that you still have when you were a kid with all the pressure that you have of like, you're the national team setter and you're 21 and like you're going through all these ebbs and flows of life, and like you're meeting your future wife and you're thinking about going to Italy and you're still like, all these things are happening and you're in college.
Yeah.
Like you're still trying to go through college, like how do you deal with it? Or how did you deal with it?
I think it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier of just being a bit naive.
Yeah.
I think that worked as an advantage of like going to these giant tournaments and like not being a professional athlete that's paid to do it and my contract doesn't depend on it, and not having like this other external added pressure. I think when I went overseas for my first year, my eyes were super open to the pressures that these athletes face, and now we as athletes face, whether because of the money that's involved and because of the sponsors and period money. And so when it's business, there's a lot of other things involved. And at that time I was just like in this college mentality of let's go do it for the boys, and I think that's such a beautiful thing but then you'll have to, when you get into the business, you learn, that's the nature of the beast a little bit, is just the big business and the money involved. Does have its pressures and its consequences for certain actions or losses or things like that. So it was a transition period. It was definitely not all like easy and smooth, like especially when I went pro my first year into like a big team in Italy that had a ton of pressure. I was like, oh, this is super eye-opening. I had a hard year, and like mentally and emotionally, just trying to figure all of that stuff out and learn how professionals work, and that they're not really mad at me. They're mad at the situation, and they're, I just took it all out on myself my first year of like, oh, I am screwing everything up.
Yeah.
And so, and that, for me was a big learning year, and I'm super grateful that I had that.
I was gonna say,
had those struggles.
I remember you texting, or I texted you after you guys lost in Cup, and you guys got like third in Cup, which is obviously not terrible. But when you're Macerata, they're like, we don't have this payroll to get third. Yeah, so you're like, I was like, man, tough loss, and you're like, yeah, we just got chewed out by our president for like the last hour for taking third.
Oh yeah.
And
oh yeah, and you're in a big club.
Yeah, and I was like, I remember talking to my mom. I was like, Micah just got crushed, and she goes, yeah, he's in Italy. Welcome to reality.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, man, that's
goodness, man.
It's tough when you're fresh out of college and you got to go deal with stuff like that. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, you just don't know, and especially like we talked about, like volleyball doesn't have this NBA feel to it, or
right.
Like it's very, especially international volleyball, especially Italian volleyball. It's like you win now. You don't get 3 years for a project. Like you win now, or else somebody's getting fired and somebody's losing their jobs. So it's definitely a unique style of pressure, which makes it fun, which makes winning all that much better. But also, you have to be able to manage your emotions and manage, I guess, take things all relatively of like, yeah, we lost the game. Like that's, it sucks, but we're still getting paid to do what we love to do. And
right.
There's a lot of other things to not hang our heads about, which is tough. If you lose in Modena and you lose like bad in Modena, and it's hard to go outside because you just get talked to about how you guys are stupid, or it's like, what was that? Like, I don't want to tell you what that was. It sucked.
Yeah. Like I know, I was there.
Yeah. Had the best seat in the house.
So let's lighten the mood a little bit. Who's the first guy to give you the business in the MPSF?
Dude, I have no idea. Tony Torelli in practice. I don't know, man. That's a good question.
Who's the first guy you remember?
The first guy to give me the business hard. My senior year in college. Aaron Russell. Dude, and that was probably still to this day like the most dominated I've been as a blocker. Like the dude just dominated me. 3-0 at Galen Center at home, hitting OT, hitting everywhere. I didn't even touch a ball. And I was at that time, I was like considered a pretty good blocker. And I was just getting just hammered by him. And it's to this day. And he'll tell you, he's like, yeah, I destroyed you. Not in a bad way. He's like, yeah, but I killed you that day.
In like the nicest Aaron Russell way ever.
Dude, I was like, that was a huge reality check for me. I was like, oh man, there's a lot of things that I think I can do that I can't do. And I was just like, I had no response. That comes to mind when it's like I just got stunned by someone. That was Big Ronnie.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player though.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I guess he's all right. How much longer do you think you have in your career?
We'll see. I mean, my goal is to play to 2028.
Okay.
We'll see if the body agrees with me.
Sure.
But she hurting a little bit. we got some problems, but it's nothing we can't handle. So I'm a setter. Like, I don't have to be that dynamic, so we'll figure it out. We'll be all right.
Nice.
Awesome.
I hope. Maybe somebody better comes in and tries and beats me out, but they're not gonna get that with a fight. That's for sure.
Well, Micah, I think we're good here, man.
Dude, it was a fun one, guys. Thanks for it. It was an awesome bunch of questions, and well done. You guys are sweet.
Thanks, man. You were awesome too.
Yeah, dude. It's so fun to have
Thanks
you
for being
on.
candid.
Great going down memory lane a bit too, Maddie. That was
For
so
sure.
fun.
I think
All those memories.
I think Micah's gonna be a repeat guest.
Hey, let's do it.
Couple
I'm
months,
in,
man.
For sure.
Got a lot
dude.
of things to talk about. I talk about volleyball all day, every day.
My man.
You're exactly who we're looking for.
My man.
Yeah. All right.
All right, Hawaiian. Thank you again.
All right, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Micah.
Take care. Love you, Matt. Love you,
Love you too,
Jackson.
brother.
Love you too, bro. Love you,
Love you
Jackson.
too, Micah.
All right, guys. Take care.